What is advanced work packaging? In this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of AWP or advanced work packaging, what you should know about it, and some things that you could really use as you go research it for yourself. So stay with us. Okay. Advanced work packaging. I'm not going to give you the full history on the websites, ChatGPT, you can get that very quickly, but really advanced work packaging came about for projects like these big oil and gas projects, right? It came about as a way to increase productivity and shorten overall timelines for construction projects, right? And so I'm going to tell you what it is in its basic form, how I feel about it, how you can approach it. Let's go. So when you look at advanced work packaging and do some research, they break it down typically like this: integrated work packaging, collaborative planning and execution, systematic work breakdown structures, planning and sequencing of work, utilization of 3D models, and proactive risk mitigation and conflict resolution. So let's go ahead and dive into all those one by one. Integrated work packaging. As a part of this overall process, especially on these massive projects, the work is broken down in a way that it is identified as work packages, right? And these work packages is how the team will literally buy out, procure materials, engineer, prepare for construction, and then install the work. So the work package is really the amount of work that they're going to install in that area in that duration of time, okay? So integrated work packaging is where we integrate the different areas but break it down into bite-sized chunks. Collaborative planning and execution means that from the time of engineering to procurement to fabrication to delivery to construction, that the different disciplines and also the information throughout those different processes are integrated and everybody is collaborating and aligning from discipline to discipline. Number 3, a systematic work breakdown structure. What this means is that the WBS, or the work breakdown structure that you're familiar with in project management and in CPM, is broken down in a way that work packages can be sequenced and logic tied, and the path of construction can be followed, and everything can install as seamlessly as possible. And then a critical chain is mapped so that we know the path on the project, the path of construction that must be followed. But everything is broken out intelligently so that work packages can be identified and work can be prepared. Planning and sequencing of work is the next item, and this is where for the work package we start to look at spatial constraints, we start to look at labor constraints, at resource constraints, material availability, and we start planning to the work package 100%. And so making sure that work package in its smaller form is planned is a part of that process. Number 5, in advanced work packaging, we have the utilization of 3D models, and this not only helps to model the geometry, but we have a building information model, so these parametric models are very helpful from that standpoint. You can do a lot of different analyses with this. And you can utilize the model for integrated design, procurement, visualization, analysis, and coordination amongst different scopes. And so this is brilliant because we really heavily rely on the model. One of the things, advanced work packaging to me really looks like a large-scale effort to do BIM and overhead MEP prefab in a normal commercial building. That's really what it is. Like, we are scaling that up and breaking work down so that we can do that complex MEP in a more effective manner. And so that's why, in my opinion, this is used for projects like oil and gas, and it's really not in the general like a world of commercial construction yet. And then proactive risk mitigation and conflict resolution. This is where the people planning, as an assistant to the superintendent, planning the work package, are literally looking for risks throughout the collaborative process and making sure that any conflicts are resolved, especially model conflicts, and any conflicts in any of the production systems, okay? The bottom line is the overall project is broken down into its component parts, into work packages. There is a path of construction that is identified. All of that is broken down, and the work packages are planned. They're planned by people who are subject matter experts, people who are familiar with the work in a collaborative fashion to enable the foreman to be boots on the ground with the workers in the field, and everything is modeled and prefabricated and ready to just install in the field. And this works really, really well with large MEP projects, specifically with oil and gas. This approach, by the way, to research this, I studied, I think, 3 books I went onto the website, did my own research, talked to a number of professionals, and here's my consensus. Here's my consensus after researching this to understand if you should dig further into it, and if you do, how. First of all, I would always say, go to the place of implementation. Especially up in Canada, I have some contacts where they're using AWP, Advanced Work Packaging, and go to a project where they're doing it. There's a big difference between what's in the books and how it's actually implemented. But I do know that a lot of these large projects that use AWP are very clean, safe, and organized, that they have a very nice 3D model. They do prepare to the hilt these work packages, and then they provide the prefabricated materials, the full kit, and the information to the installation crews, okay? So go there first and foremost. The consensus for me and talking to people is that AWP has a need, and a lot of people want to pull in lean concepts into AWP, but there aren't a lot of people in commercial or general residential construction, the general construction world, or heavy industrial world that want to pull in AWP into our projects. It seems to be very, very specific to things like oil and gas and for heavy MEP and prefabricated projects. Okay, so that's the general consensus. But here's the bottom line. Here are some problems that I have with this. If AWP is still using CPM, it is a broken system. If AWP is still rushing, pushing, and panicking work, it is a broken system. If the planners are not field engineers and the foremen, or include the field engineers and the foreman in the field, then it is just another command and control system shoving work down people's throats, and that tends to work with projects like oil and gas where they're doing mostly prefabrication, because they can go do the detailing, the spooling, the prefabrication, and literally just like tell people how to install it like a kit of parts, like it's IKEA. Most other, and I would say 95% of other construction projects don't work like that. It's so complex. It's not just a bunch of piping in a work package. It's so complex that you must have the expertise of the people boots on the ground. The other thing, I get nothing from the AWP system that talks about respecting people. In fact, it says, we will do all the planning for the foreman and just chuck it over the wall, right? I don't like that. Foremen should not be relegated to just be with the crew. Field engineers are enablers and they are planners. They should be involved in the overall system, okay? And the other thing is not utilizing TACT and Last Planner are really big problems for me, because even though you have AWP focused on these large MEP projects with the path of construction in a system-based framework, right? You're looking at the one-line diagrams and the flow diagrams and the system components and the sequence of operations more than you're looking at zones. Even so, the inability to loop in to this point, TACT and Last Planner and Scrum methodologies are definitely debits to me. The other thing is, you are not going to have the resources to do that kind of command and control planning that AWP does on most construction sites because you don't have the money. So I definitely think AWP works well with oil and gas. I do not see any evidence currently that we want to bring that into commercial, civil, or other types of industrial construction or construction in general. I do think there's a lot of benefit if we learn how to prepare work packages. That is something that we should learn. Learning how to accommodate systems instead of just zones is something that we should learn. And really designing to a work package is something that we should learn. But really what I want to see is AWP pulling in more lean concepts, and us in lean learning how to prepare work packages better and make sure that a lot of pre-planning is done and that we have a really solid first planner system. But so far, the way it's implemented, I'm not impressed. I definitely think that you should stick with TACT, Last Planner, and Scrum. Make sure that you are planning projects properly and that you learn those key things that I talked to you about and stay on the lean course, because that's where you need to be from a production standpoint. And so I'm going to put this in a Canva graphic, a summary in the Canva graphic below, link you to some AWP guides so you can do your own research, and I'm going to give you a blog post if you want to learn more. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.